Hi, it's Cayman with S&B Tanks, and today we're going to be installing our 62-gallon replacement tank on this 2003 GM 2500 crew cab short bed. This tank fits all 01 to 2010 GM crew cab short bed trucks, but we do have two different part numbers that cover those years. So when ordering your tank, be sure to look at our online instructions and our online product page to make sure you get the right tank for your truck. But regardless, you can follow along with this video and we'll show you the differences between the two installs. If you already received your S&B tank, take out the card that was included and use your smartphone to scan this QR code reader. This will take you to the most updated installation instructions on our website. With this S&B tank, we install brand new OEM style sending units. So they come with a brand new resistor card, so the readings are nice. Then all new fittings, an optional plug on this side, so if you're running an aftermarket lift pump, you can return fuel right back into the bucket. Then the differences between the two sending units, this is for the 2004 and up trucks, and this is for the 01 to 04 trucks. And you'll see there's a plug here, then there's a fitting here. So this is for the fuel shutoff on the 04 to 10 trucks. The first step is going to be disconnecting the filler hose from the tank. You won't be able to see me do it, but I'm following the filler hose all the way down to the tank, and there's a hose clamp there that I'm going to disconnect. If you have a hose clamp that's more on the bed of the truck, you can also disconnect the hose clamp up there, which might be easier. Next, with the fuel disconnect tool, we're going to be removing the two fuel fittings on the fuel cooler. And so to get those, you're going to want to push in with the connector, then pull. Next, we're going to be lifting up our transmission jack so we can disconnect the fuel tank straps and lower the tank so we can get to the electrical connector as well as the other fuel connector. Again, this tank can be installed on the ground, but it is easier to do on a lift. Now we're going to go over and do the straps. We're going to use a 15mm socket. Then after we remove the two bolts for the two straps, we are going to push up on these two pieces on the straps to get them out of this hole. Now we'll be lowering the tank about 4 inches so we can get to the electrical connector on the top of the tank to disconnect that, and then also to make room for the fuel connector next to the fuel cooler. And when removing the electrical connector from the sending unit, you're just going to want to lift up on this white tab. Just peel that away, then pull the connector out. This truck has an aftermarket lift pump installed, so the lines are a little bit confusing, but the two lines you're going to be disconnecting, we already disconnected this first line. Then the second line is going to be the other line coming from the tank. So just follow this line all the way down and use a quick disconnect to remove this line as well. After the electrical connector is disconnected from the top of the sending unit and the two fuel connectors are disconnected from the fuel cooler, we can begin dropping the OEM tank. Then if the tank is halfway full or more than that, it's probably a good idea to have a buddy hold the front of the tank while you guys drop the tank to the ground. Next, we're going to use the disconnect tools to remove the fuel lines from this tank. So the red one will be on there, the blue one will be on the return. Then just push those in. We already got them started a little bit. Pull it out, and then again, those go under there, and pull it out. Snap it out of the tank. Now we're going to put the feed line on to the S&B tank, and if your connector's dirty, you're going to want to clean this, as it would be hard to put on if it was dirty. And if you twist it around, you'll hear a click. So this connector is on. Now we'll put on the return line. Now we'll get these laid down to connect onto the fuel cooler. Now we'll begin putting the S&B tank into the truck. If these two came connected and shipping, you'll want to disconnect these, as this is going to go over the cross member and back onto the barb. And now we'll lift it onto the transmission jack and get it into the truck. Now if you have an 01 to 04 truck and you have this style of a sending unit, or this style of an electrical connector, you're gonna need the S&B adapter piece. So we'll get this plugged in to the sending unit and locked. Then we'll make the connection to the truck. And make sure that's locked as well. Now we're ready to jack the tank up into the truck. Now we'll push on both the feed and the return lines. Then when jacking up the tank, make sure that the hose that's connecting the front part of the tank to the back part of the tank, make sure that was clear of this cross member. Then once we have it clear the cross member and over the cross member, we're gonna push it on to the barb. So make sure it's seated all the way onto the barb, since there isn't a hose clamp or a constant tension clamp to hold it onto the barb. Because of how the jack's placed and it's underneath our middle strap, we're gonna do the rear strap first, then we're gonna do the front support, then we're gonna come back and do the middle strap. And to do this, we're gonna put this into the hook up there, then we're gonna reuse the OEM bolt on the frame side. And again, this is a 15mm socket. Now we're gonna be putting on the front support for the S&B tank. And you'll see that there's hooks. On this side, this is going over the inner of the frame. Then this side is longer than this side, so this is gonna go under the tank. Get started on that side. Okay. Now it's on both the inside of the frame. Now we'll start to push it back and lift up on the tank to get it underneath. Okay, and once you get it into the groove on the S&B tank, it's in the right position. Now we'll begin securing it into place. Now we're gonna do the passenger side first, so we're gonna put the U-bolt over the crossmember piece, and it's going to be the shorter out of the two. Thread that through the U-bolt. Make sure the U-bolt's all the way over to the frame side. Then we're going to be putting on the washer as well as the nut. Now we're not going to torque these down right away. We're going to wait until we have the other side finger tight. But making sure that this piece is underneath the frame and clamped on, we're gonna start tightening up these nuts. Now to get the U-bolt on to the driver's side, we're gonna stick it up and over the tank. So for my end here, then there is a spot for it just to slide right in there. Just meant to go there. Then we'll take our piece that's gonna clamp it to the frame. So it's the longer edge. Thread them through. Make sure the U-bolt is all the way over towards the frame. Then we'll start putting on the washers and the bolts. Then you're gonna want to torque down this U-bolt, making sure that it's clamping to as far out in the middle part of the frame as possible. So you want to be biting into the middle part of the frame as possible and get this nice and tight, or you can almost start bending this piece right here. It's so tight. Now we're going to be pushing this filler hose back onto the S&B tank, so over the frame rail, back on the S&B tank, and securing our hose clamp to the filler. Now the installation is complete. If you have any questions during the install or beforehand, please give us a call at 909-675-1313. And thank you for your time and watching the video.